when Pakistan was created, they tried to wipe out every other identity and just keep the Islamic identity. But in Bangladesh, which was East Pakistan, these multiple identities are part of their being. They are Bengalis also, they are secular also, they are Islamic also. So, and they were East Pakistanis, then became Bangladeshis. So that complex structure of identities. And now comes the other era, where, and democracy is very important for them. They have held on to that democracy and, saying that they are a functional secular democracy. That is important to them too. At this stage, what are they looking at when they see a part of their population destroying temples, talking about their Islamic identity being the most strongest of all identities of the Bangladeshi? What is going on right now there?
So, absolutely, there's many overlapping identities in Bangladesh. I'm thinking of the tribal communities, right, in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, for example, and how that was solved peacefully in the late 90s with Indian support to stabilize that. So I think Bangladesh has always coexisted with that. But I think there is a structural change now.
Oh.
Yeah, there is a structural change in the form of religion, right? And that is something we have to acknowledge. It is not something that may be dramatic necessarily. I think often we portray it as, the radicalization of Bangladesh that will hurt Indian interests, destabilize the country,
It's not?
Not necessarily. That is exactly my point.
Okay.
I think there's a conservative turn in Bangladesh based on a religious element, but not only. And that will inform the future of Bangladeshi politics, right? And that will therefore need responses from many inside and outside. For example, it will need a response from the Awami League. And if you look at Sheikh Hasina, she was already experimenting with that, right? She was already experimenting with Islamic conservatism, pandering into the Jamaat on many demands prior to her fall. So I think that shows again her acumen also realizing that this is not just a purely secular country, that there was a particular primacy, if you want, of Islam in that country. Now, what Islam is the question. I think therefore looking at what the Jamaat is saying and how it will position itself is very interesting. I think the election of February is not of interest, Smita.
Really?
No, because it will be an election, in a sense, the BNP will win most likely.
Okay.
Right? We'll have a weak BNP. I'm saying there'll be something that will govern that country in the form of a BNP. Which faction now we'll see. The BNP people are already telling me in Dhaka, we want to work with India. 1 year ago, they were all silent on this. They were all singing SARC songs and saying, and almost, it was bizarre when it was there November 24, India did not exist. There was not a single word about India, right? Including from the interim government. No one in interim government was able to say a simple thing, which is, we don't like the politics in India, for example, or we don't appreciate the way India supported Sheikh Hasina. We have a political problem with India, but we need to continue working on economic and developmental issues.
Sure.
No single, high-level leader was able to articulate a speech, an address that tells you of how deep the anti-India sentiment was or how also weak this political leadership was of Yunus and his advisors. It was unable to articulate this, right? So going forward now, the BNP might win. The Jamaat question will be how close and strong of a second. Awami will probably be left outside. The NCP, the student party, to what extent will it? But the real question is 2030 or 31, assuming that this government will last 4 or 5 years, right? That's the moment where the Jamaat will make a run for power.
Okay.
And I think we have 5-6 years till then to think about a Jamaat-ruled Bangladesh, which begs the question, what Jamaat? Will it be a Jamaat? It will be extremist, ideological, sanguinely against India, radical in its, most vicious form on economics, on culture, on minority issues, on foreign policy issues? Or will it be a more moderate Jamaat? And we have seen many radical groups moderate themselves as they come closer and eventually join power. I'm thinking of many groups across the region that have moderated themselves. I think today we can make a safe assessment that the Taliban in Kabul are different, more moderate, maybe far from what we would like from a normative perspective.
So India should keep a more open kind of attitude towards the Jamaat, build bridges with them, and not just say that, they're Islamist radicals, keep away. We only deal with Awami League or else some factions of the BNP. Is that how?
I think India will have to do what it always has done so well in the history of the last 75 years, which is set red lines and say, this we will not accept, and extend a hand, like you say, build bridges and say, here's where we can work with you. Now, there's an economic agenda that we have to work with each other.
Yeah.
We have the 5th largest land boundary in the world between India and Bangladesh, 4,000 kilometers.
Yes.
4,000 kilometers. 2, we have trade that is at what? $13 billion. Before the Ukraine invasion, India was exporting more to Bangladesh than to Russia, okay, before the whole oil crisis. An economic important partner for India, right? This is the 8th largest country in the world, Smita. This is a very large country. So you can't wish it away. You have to deal with whatever those cards, the Bangladeshi political cards are going to give you. My assessment is that the Bangladeshi political cards are going to give you an increasingly conservative political dispensation. And that should not necessarily be seen as a totally hostile towards India position.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा.
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है.
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दो?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब.
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप.
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI. It does not lie.